Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. I do hope that you are doing well and everything is hunky-dory for you. And if you've had time off school because of holiday, I hope you had a good break. What we are going to do this half term is we are going to look at a unit of work about who is Jesus, going on to looking at something called the Apostles' Creed and some fundamental beliefs that Christians have about Christianity. So today we are going to think about self-portraits and Jesus in art. But before we do that, what I'd like you to do is to draw a little picture of yourself as you perceive yourself to be. It might just be on a post-it note. It might be a huge work of art. So give yourself 2 or 3 minutes, draw a picture of yourself, and let's just, for amusement, send it to a friend and see what they think. So pause me now and then come back to me. Okay, so for those of you who know me, you will know that my drawing isn't the greatest. So here's a little self-portrait of me. What do you think? Likeness? Glasses? Spiky hair? Well, you can choose. Now, let's just really, let's keep this going. Do a picture of your friend and then send it to them. See what they think. Pause me now and then come back to me. Perfect. Okay, so this is the time for you to go and grab your book and a pen because here's our cheesy intro music. Okay, so our learning objective today is how is Jesus portrayed in art? How is Jesus portrayed in art? We're going to explore who Jesus is and how he's shown in artwork. It's going to be a good outcome if we can state 3 ways that Jesus is shown in art. It's going to be great if we can explain why Jesus can be shown in a variety of ways, and even better if we can talk about why Jesus is portrayed differently in art by different artists. So we're going to be thinking about our enterprising skills, our ability to think outside the box. We're going to be creative thinkers, and we're also going to reflect on what we think and why we think it. That's the spiritual element there. During today's session, we're going to look at some key terms. We're going to look at some paintings. We're going to think about Jesus a little bit. It's kind of fairly fundamental, and we're going to have a little reflection as well. So, to start off with, these are some different forms of artwork that you might be familiar with. So, buildings or architecture is known as artwork. We've got poetry, we've got music, calligraphy, which is very fancy writing. You've got painting, which is sort of the classic that you might be thinking of. We've got drama and we've got film. And over the next few lessons, we are going to be thinking about some of those and how Jesus is portrayed in them. Here's a little bit of information which I would like you to read. So I'm just going to be quiet while you read that. If I carry on, then pause me. Okay, this is what it says. Art is a form of expression which can help people show things that they may not be able to talk about easily. A religious painting is not always a physical representation of an actual event, unlike a photograph. So a painting, as you know, is subject to interpretation. Often an artist will try to show something symbolic that happened that hadn't necessarily happened. One of the earliest forms of Christian paintings that we have are called icons. Paintings were commissioned by a variety of people over centuries, popes and kings, for example, and paintings were done by monks as well as artists to help aid their worship and understanding of God. Paintings can help tell stories and capture people's emotions and imaginations. So a painting can often reflect on something which hasn't been witnessed in reality. I've got a fill in the blanks exercise. What I'd like you to do is to write this out in your books, and the words are underneath, and see what you can do based on what we've just talked about. Pause me and then come back to me when you're done. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, and we're going to need most of a page for this, so you might even want your page landscape for this, is I'd like you to do a Venn diagram. So you're going to do 2 overlapping circles, or 3 columns if you would rather. We start with what I think Jesus looked like. So this is your own opinion of what you think Jesus looked like. In the middle is both, and on the right hand side, what the pictures show Jesus looked like. Now remember, no one knows what Jesus looked like. No one had a camera to take a photograph. The Bible doesn't really go into it. It's really not a big issue to the early Christians about what Jesus looked like. So there is some surmising going on. There is some thinking, and obviously there's a lot of biblical interpretation and a lot of artistic interpretation as well. So I'd like you to start by writing down some thoughts now about what you think Jesus might look like. So you might say he's got a beard, long hair. What skin colour is he? For example, what sort of clothes did he wear? And just be writing down now in that just the left hand side what you think Jesus looked like, and then come back to me. Okay, so I'm really fortunate myself to live in Liverpool, and Liverpool has a famous art gallery called the Walker Art Gallery, and in that there is a lot of religious paintings. In fact, it's got a very large selection of Christian artwork that dates over 1,000 years. It's free to go to, and some of the pictures that we're going to look at today have been taken from there. So, this is our first picture of Jesus. What I'd like you to do is on the right hand side of that Venn diagram to write down how is Jesus shown. If you're not sure, Jesus is the one in the middle. As always, do pause, add notes to your Venn diagram. We're going to show a few pictures. Okay, here's a stereotype of what Jesus looks like. What's he carrying? And why a sheep? Why a shepherd? Okay, I'm sure a lot of you know about Jesus saying, I'm the good shepherd, so that would be that then. What about this one? Very different image there. What's the light coming from around his head? I don't think Jesus really glowed like a 60-watt light bulb. Okay, you might know that as a halo, or it's an artistic way of showing holiness or someone being special. Here's another picture. Fascinating little picture, this one. 2 events in Jesus' life going on here. So in this one, you've got the incarnation, you've got Jesus being born, but you've also got his death. So how's Jesus shown in those? 4 to go. Okay, there's this one, the raising of Lazarus. Jesus is the one with his hand stretched out. There we are, going like this. So what do we learn about Jesus in this picture? Famous piece of artwork here, the Temptations. We've got that one as well. Fascinating again. If you can't see Jesus on that picture, have a really good look. He is there. Yep, some of you have spotted him. He's the little baby in the sun, flying high in the sky. Wonder what that means though. And then lastly, we've got the baptism of Jesus. Look how he's portrayed in that image. And now be thinking about how those images are very, very, very different depending on the artist and the context that artist painted it. Here's some more pictures. Okay, these are amazing. Black Jesus, which is probably fairly accurate. We don't often think that Jesus has black skin in this culture. The reason for that is that we like to think Jesus is one of us. A white person, for want of a better word, somewhere Western European. Well, Jesus was not a Western European. He grew up and lived in Israel. And we don't know what Jesus looks like. But what we do know is that artwork is based in the country that it is made. So a lot of the artwork you've just seen has been paid for and bought in the West, and therefore it has Western ideas. This, however, very different location of the artwork. You've got Robert Powell, who's the stereotype of what people in Britain may think Jesus looks like, based on the film Jesus of Nazareth. The image on the left-hand screen, left-hand image here, is what the BBC commissioned quite a few years back with a filming project they were doing when they were trying to reconstruct the face of Jesus. And they said this is what Jesus may have looked like. This is what people looked like. Not obviously everyone, but this is what sort of the average person may have looked like in Israel in the 1st century. So there's an interesting one for you. Then you've got Jesus and the Sacred Heart, very Roman Catholic view there. Then you've got really interesting ones here that I'm going to show you. On the right hand side, you've got Jesus in the Philippines, the baptism. Quite like that picture, that's very different. And then there's this one. This will do your head in. Look at the 4 little dots on the nose. Stare at them for about 30 seconds. So I'm going to go quiet for 30 seconds. Just stare at those. Don't blink, don't look away. Just stare at them. 30 seconds starts now. Keep staring. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and look up. Do not open your eyes. Close your eyes now and look up. Keep your eyes closed. Can you see Jesus yet? If you can't, start blinking a few times. Wow, there you go. You've seen Jesus. Well, it's just obviously an optical illusion. So we said then to this lesson it would be good if we could state 3 ways Jesus is shown in art. We've covered an awful lot there so far. Great if we can explain why Jesus can be shown in a variety of ways, and we've thought then a little bit about the artist and when they're paid for, and even better if you can think about why Jesus is portrayed differently. So a couple of questions for you to answer in your books. Why is Jesus shown differently in different pieces of art? And does culture have an influence on how Jesus is believed to have looked or acted? So there's some sentence starters there for you. It's going to take you 3 or 4 minutes. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so here's our next thought. If all representations of Jesus are different, what are the common themes? What is true about our understanding of Jesus? So what I'd like you to do, it says they're in pairs, but you can do it by yourself because you're at home, or do it via text if you want. Write a list of 3 things that are true for all pictures of what you've just seen about what Jesus is like. That's going to be a really tough one, but see what you can do. Okay, so we're coming into finish now, you'll be pleased to know, but I still have one large task for you to work on till the end of your lesson. We said it'd be good if you could state 3 ways that Jesus is shown in art. You've covered that very well with your Venn diagram. Great if you could say why Jesus can be shown in a variety of ways, and even better if you can talk about why Jesus is portrayed differently by different artists. So this is our last question for you. At the end of this, you need to photograph it and send it through to your teacher, because we would like to see your work, because obviously that's really important that we do that. This is the question. There is no point drawing pictures of Jesus because we don't know what he looked like. Discuss. So you're going to come up with why some people think you should, some people think you should, and on balance, what do you think? So leave that there. Get that sent through to your teachers. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, and stay safe, wash hands, and God bless you. I'll see you soon.